Hello again.
Hello. My experience of the ice bath was that if I was able to do that, then I'm able to do whatever, actually, like public speaking or like meeting some stressful situations in my life. It kind of made me stronger, or
Yes.
it calibrated my what's possible, like in my world. It was like that, and afterwards it was, whoa, it's like that, actually. So is it about challenging?
Well, there's two things you're saying. Like it's a reset moment or a calibration moment, and that is the training, definitely, because of the breathing, and you really calibrate. And the second thing is that ice bath. Of course, it is a challenge, but personally, the word challenge, it makes me think of pushing and fighting. You know, like we've all learned in this world we're living in that if you have stress, you should fight and give a bit more and push and stuff like that. Higher grades, never good enough, blah blah. And I'm a very strong believer, and this is my own lifestyle. This has nothing to do with Wim Hof method. To say, if this is your 100%, if I train every day 50, 70%, my 100% just goes up. So the power of a morning ritual and over not going too far. Now, within a day training, and this is very important, there's no peer pressure to go into that ice bath, because we don't go in that ice bath from that pushy, has to be better, have to be longer point of view, but more from a surrender point of view. And if you learn to engage with stress in daily life from a surrender point of view, which comes down to breathing slowly, then 90% of the stress is non-existent. It doesn't exist. It was you in your head, me in my head, not you, me. So it is a definite challenge, but there's no peer pressure to do the ice bath. But you will be ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the point is that a challenge, you know, it may be like, I'm engaging to the challenge, now I have to do it. No, because that's peer pressure. It's about you really wanting this and looking inside. Am I okay? The answer is yes. And then I go in from a very calm and surrender point of view. And then afterwards, you're like high-fiving, making selfies, you know, like because after an ice bath, then the endorphins rushing through your body. So you feel extremely focused and happy and stuff like that.
And it's not cold afterwards.
Totally,
I was thinking that maybe I'm cold like for an hour or two afterwards, but I didn't even need a towel, actually.
Yeah. No, it can be, that's another thing we learn, you know, after 2 minutes of ice bath, you die. And we spoke to a special forces guy in Brazil, he was in my training, and in their book is like, somebody cannot survive more than 5 minutes of ice bath. It's just not true. Because almost everybody in the training goes in 2 minutes. And like maybe 10% are a bit shaky afterwards for like 15 minutes, but most people are not. Now, if you push it, so 2 minutes is where all the health benefits are, and 4 minutes doesn't give any more health benefits. So 2 minutes is long enough. But if you push it and you would go 5 minutes in, maybe afterwards you need like 1 or 2 hours to heat up again. But, you know, like if this is the 100%, everybody can do 5 minutes, we go to 2 minutes. Because it's not about pushing it, it's about surrendering.
And
the big message.
Did the guy survive, the Brazilian special force guy?
Yeah, he said in 5 minutes, actually. And, you know, like we rewrote the books there. And yeah, it's he wants us to train the special forces now in Rio or in Brazil.
Yeah.
And we're like, yes, you know, like because he learned something that he didn't learn in the army. A Marine he was, by the way, Marine Special Forces, that he didn't learn in the Marine, and he learned in 1 day of Wim Hof method that completely, you know, rewrote all the things that he knew. And this is like a top sporter, right?
Yes.
And that is really cool about this training, that, you know, there's top sporters, if they don't do any breathing or cold training, I can make them, they are making themselves, but I can help them make themselves 10-20% better. So if you're like an Olympic athlete, Estonia, and if not...
But there are some health concerns as well, like the situations when you should not
Yes.
do the ice bath, right?
Yeah, and those health concerns are basically like, if this is like the line of safety, we take 3 steps back. Yeah, so a ice bath is a cardiovascular, you know, your blood vessels, they really shrink. So if you have extreme cardiovascular problems, we don't want to take the risk. Same with extreme heart problems. But I had a guy in my training who was a doctor, and he signed his own release form 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks before the training, he had an open heart surgery, and he went into the ice bath, and there was no problem. But if you have like doubts, ask your doctor first. So extreme cardiovascular problems, extreme heart issues. Then for the breathing, if you are epileptic, it's not good to do it. And you know, like if you're pregnant, the breathing, I would say if you're pregnant, you know, like it's up to 6 months pregnant, the breathing is totally fine. But if you're longer than 6 months, we don't advise it. But I would say, you know, if you're pregnant, just, you know, a woman that's pregnant is so intuitive. You feel for yourself what is good for you. You know, like, I personally, I have a friend who was pregnant and stayed in the ice bath like up to 8 months. But for me personally, that doesn't feel right. If you're pregnant, you just don't, you know, like you don't, just wait a year, come back next year, I would say. Yeah.
Yes.
Although it's totally safe if you're 3 months pregnant or you don't know that you're pregnant, you know, it's totally safe. And then there's another anti-indicator, and that's Raynaud's, 2nd degree. It's basically when you're cold, you get like blue fingers. Now the funny thing is that although these are the anti-indicators, with this technique you can resolve Raynaud's, but you train very lightly. It is a cardiovascular training, so like your blood pressure will probably balance out after a breathing session. And it's also good for your blood and for your heart, because you know, like when you're breathing faster, your heart goes up. Then if you hold your breath, your heartbeat goes down. So it's like an interval training for your heart. So although these are the anti-indicators, you can actually use the technique in a very light way, I would say, to actually solve those problems. But, you know, like I'm not a doctor, and we let people, you know, sign a form that you're responsible for your own health. This is also where the excitement starts, actually, you know, like, right?
Yes. Yeah, and the responsibility that we always have for our health, actually.
Yeah.
And for our life.
Yeah.